Hopefully that works. Okay. So, hello, YouTube land. Um, da, da, da. Should probably light myself up. Okay. So, hey, this is John. I just heard a loud noise outside. We're right on a main street, two main streets on our church is on, and sometimes people drive fast and decide they need to rev their engine. So I don't even know if you heard that, but I did. So I'm gonna, yeah, I was gonna start over, but that's really a pain. So just wanted to record a video to show one of my buddies, Caleb, one of my favorite features in Logos that I think not a lot of people know about. I actually invited him to go to uh, I don't know, a webinar or event where they were hosting on how to use Logos in a bunch of different ways, highlighting some really great features. And I invited him because I wanted to win the prize for inviting the most people. Even though I use Logos, he uses Logos, I wanted him to come and just check things out because, when you watch those types of things, you always end up learning something. You pick out a little tidbit that you didn't know about, or you get reminded of something that you're like, oh, I totally forgot about that. That's one of the benefits of kind of even revisiting those trainings is they teach you and remind you of things that maybe you forgot about. I went to a training back in March and would reminded of this one feature that I had totally forgotten about that would have been so helpful over the past 2 years. It's a counseling guide where you can just type in a subject or topic for counseling and it brings up this full guide that really informs you about it. And man, that would have been so helpful in the past 2 years. But now I remember it. I didn't then. So, but what did I want to show Caleb, or what I ask him about that he didn't seem to know about? And this is honestly one of my favorite features of the Logos desktop app that just makes it so helpful to uh, study God's word, and really one of the things that makes Logos so powerful. And Logos can be like drinking from a fire hose at time, or it's a bit like Excel where you can do like bare minimum. You can make Excel hold your numbers and you can make it add things, or you can do these crazy formulas and get these graphs and these bars and all this stuff. So Logos is like that. The more you know, the better it becomes. And this is one feature that I love that makes it so easy to study God's word and really study God's word in a way that someone who would have seen it in the original language. So in this context, we're going to look at a Greek passage, but we're going to look at it in English and just see one thing that it will do that helps you notice the differences in the language. And so I'm going to put on my screen for you Logos, and can we go full size there? That looks strange. Okay, so let's do that. So my head is not covering it. So this is John chapter 21, verse 15, or we're going to read verse 15, and I'm going to show you this feature, and it is awesome. So when they had finished breakfast, Jesus said to Simon Peter, Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these? He said to him, Yes, Lord, you know that I love you. He said to him, Feed my lambs. He said to him a second time, Simon, son of John, do you love me? He said to him, Yes, Lord, you know that I love you. And he said to him, Tend my sheep. He said to him a third time, Simon, son of John, do you love me? Peter was grieved because he said to him the third time, Do you love me? And he said to him, Lord, you know everything. You know that I love you. Jesus said to him, Feed my sheep. Truly, truly, I say to you, when you were young, you used to dress yourselves and walk wherever you wanted. But when you are old, you will stretch out your hands, and another will dress you and carry you where you do not want to go. So, what did we read? We read that Jesus is restoring Peter to ministry, restoring Peter to relationship. And Jesus asked Peter, Do you love me? And if we're just reading in English and we don't read the Greek and we don't know it, we might assume that as Peter responds to Jesus, he's using the same word. Unless we've heard a sermon on this passage, or we know that Greek has multiple words for love, we might just we might just breeze right past that and say, okay, the same word, love. But if you know that Greek has multiple words for love, you might slow down and you might think about it. But it's still, if you don't know the Greek, you might miss the fact that Jesus and Peter are using two different words for love, at least in part of the passage. So if this feature that I love, it's called the corresponding words feature. And you can have it show you the same word. So it'll show you the same English word, or you can do the same surface text, or you can do the same lemma and same root. So we're going to do the same lemma, which means that it's going to show us the same underlying base Greek word, which is going to be awesome as we do this. Watch, as I put my mouse over it, it's going to highlight that word. And I'm going to turn off the fact book. I don't want it. It's going to pop those things out, which they can be helpful, or they can, I don't want it to show that to me right now because it blocks things. So what's interesting here is you say, okay, so Jesus says love. So as I've put my cursor over it, I'm thinking, okay, love's going to be the same word, same love every time. But if you notice, it says, do you love me more than these? This is what Jesus is saying to Peter. And if you notice, Peter's yes, Lord, you know that I love you is in a totally, it's not highlighted. So it's a different underlying Greek word, which like, oh, that's interesting. Now, this is something that someone who reads Greek is going to automatically pick up on because it's two totally different words. It's agape and phileo. And so if we were reading Greek, we would know that. But since we're not, we're reading in English, this helps us know those things. So we could right click on this, and then it's going to bring up the Greek word for us, and we could go do a Bible word study on this word, which is awesome. Let's put it next to it, and then we'll shrink that. So that way we have this Greek word, and we're seeing love. Okay, so agape, which means like unconditional love. Jesus is saying, Peter, do you love me unconditionally? Peter, do you love me more than these? And Peter responds, yes, Lord, you know that I love you. Now, if we notice, there's different love words highlighted now, not the first two that we saw with Jesus. And so that again clues us into that Peter is using a different word than Jesus, and it's phileo. That's significant. Like, or it could be significant. It might not mean anything. It could just be John being funny and interesting, or it could be that John's trying to make a point, or Peter's trying to make a point. And what's really interesting is as we look at this again, notice what happens. Peter says, yes, Lord, I love you. And then Jesus says, Simon, do you love me? It's not highlighted. So it must be that other love word, right? Okay, but go back. And then we look and we see, Lord, you know that I love you, phileo. And he said, yes, Lord, you know that I love you. So again, that phileo word. He said to him, tend my sheep. And he said to him a third time, Son of John, do you love me? Now Jesus is using the same word as Peter. Jesus has switched words. Now that doesn't necessarily indicate that John is making a point. John could just be being comical, interesting, trying to vary the words to make us pay attention, or it could be significant. But if we're not reading in Greek and we don't know the Greek, that is something we're going to miss as we're reading English, because English doesn't have those kind of variations that other languages do. So that is one feature that I really love about Logos, that I think it makes it really powerful and helps people really use it to really understand and study God's word. And it really is one of those powerful features that helps people in it. So I wanted to record that and show that so he could see it. But then also I figured to post it and so others could see it. And the way you get there is you go up to this cannonball logo. That's what other people call it. It does kind of look like three cannonballs. And you click corresponding words and then lemma. And then there's you can have it show you across all the words. You can show if it's the same root or if it's the same surface text, all that thing. So that's a really awesome feature. I hope if you are a Logos user, I hope you will take advantage of that. And if not, oh well. So, okay. Yeah. All right. That's all I got. It's Thursday afternoon. I'm distracting myself from writing my sermon. Yes, sometimes procrastination wins the day. Okay. Have a great week, and I'll see you whenever. I don't know how to end this when it's not my normal devotional. Okay. Talk to you later.